and welcome to another episode of. It's been a couple weeks. What's the pod called, Ryan?
Giving a Hoot.
Giving a Hoot.
With Luke and Ryan.
With Luke and Ryan. Not John Ryan. This is just regular Ryan.
It's regular Ryan.
But we're joined by, I think this is correct, Peter Marlette, GM of the team, Union Omaha, rumored to be head scout, but I think they actually have somebody with that job title now. Probably the busiest man.
Head of scouting.
Yeah. So you could still be head scout, but there is a head of scouting.
That's true. Different titles, yeah.
It's like Dwight in The Office. You're the assistant to the head scout.
Yeah. But since the last time we talked last season, you have to probably have been the busiest person in Papillion.
No, it's been nonstop, but it's all been good, and with the players we've been able to sign and the roster that we've built so far, definitely been worth it. I'm excited to see these. I mean, we've seen them on the field already a few times, and we'll see them tomorrow as well in preseason games. But ready for the season to kick off in a month, and less than a month, and see them play some competitive games.
Well, we've already been in preseason and everything, but I'm gonna knock out the first question because I've already made one comment about it being a Papillion. As we talked about with Gary, that's a possibility that is not going to be forever the case. Is there any news on that? Has that made it through committee? What are the fans from away cheering us on looking at?
I don't think that there is anything new to report on that Gary didn't say or Marty hasn't already said in other interviews. Things are moving along well. I expect some good news in the not too distant future. We've had some good news lately, and I expect it to continue. So, I truly don't have any updates that people who have been following along aren't already aware of.
Okay. In personal news, the two of you had a pretty decent week with Manchester United.
Oh, yeah.
Trophies are always good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what happens when you take the best coach in Europe from a really good team it's finally a good team again, but wasn't.
What happens when you shift Cristiano Ronaldo off to Saudi Arabia and actually have a locker room that likes each other?
When you pull Lisandro Martinez on your back line, everybody prior to the season was saying he was going to be too short for the Premier League, and
everybody who didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
Between
him and Casemiro.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, you got Sabitzer in the midfield now too. Like you're just turning into an amalgamation of my favorite teams. But it's still Manchester United, so I will still not cheer for it.
We don't need you.
Apparently not. You just needed Ten Hag.
That's right.
Speaking of new coaches, Peter, we've already spoken with Dom. Seems like he is settling in well. Had some good results in the preseason. What you've obviously watched those games. You need to make sure that you brought on the right guy in a very quick amount of time. Things are going smoothly. What's kind of surprised you in the difference between how Dom's working with the guys from this year, versus where Jay was at?
So sorry, give me 1 second here. All right, we're good. So I really don't have any surprises. This interview process, it's no exaggeration to say that I spent over 100 hours interviewing coaches in this off season. We had the amount of qualified applicants who, whether their agent reached out or they sent their CVs or whatever it may be, the amount of really big time professional quality coaches who reached out was staggering, and impressive. It speaks to how attractive this job is. And if you think about it, there are only so many professional head coaching jobs in the U.S. So, you know, you never know when those are going to come available. So those that are in the market are going hard at them. So no, Dom and I, before I referred him to, I know Gary spoke about with you guys, kind of what his process was. So before I referred Dom to Gary, he and I had talked for just hours and hours about his philosophy behind coaching, his philosophy behind leadership, and then a lot his philosophy on the game and how it should be played and how it will be successfully played at this level. So I don't think that I'm caught off guard or surprised by anything that I've seen so far. But it's always nice to see that the person you hired is able to execute on what they guaranteed or what they promised. Because everything that I was expecting of him, personality wise, tactically wise, style wise, from our initial conversations, are what I'm seeing him coach every day and what I'm seeing our guys slowly start to take on. I mean, preseason's now a month in, and you're starting to see a lot of that start to really take shape.
Was one of the interview questions, how many defenders are you going to sign in a very short amount of time?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was going to ask.
We have 7 right now, and I don't remember the last time we had 7 defenders, because it's been never.
We've
Never.
got, listen, yeah, we identified that as an area of need. We before Don was hired, he and I, and listen, it was this way with a few other prospects as well. Had lists of players that we had prioritized, and list of needs that we had prioritized in our team, and strengthening the back line, strengthening at center back was important to us, especially after losing the guys that we did last year, replacing them the right way, and hopefully improving was a big priority. And yeah, that was a flurry of defensive signings. I know that, but when some of those players, when negotiations started to turn our way with some of those players, and it started to look like, oh, wow, we're actually going to get this guy, you got to jump on it. I don't care what position they played. A lot of those guys we brought in, proven serious pros at this level.
And a lot of championship experience. I mean, obviously the defenders, but in general, which I know Dom talked a lot about with Luke about having kind of a spreadsheet or a list of people that he knew and he's always following. But it was nice to hear it on the podcast when one I wasn't able to be on. So I listened to it. And then not long after that, all these signings start coming in and you start seeing, these guys coming from the championship level. So it's just, even that was proof of his concept already of recruiting and scouting guys from that level.
Yeah, the truth is, Omaha's an attractive place to play. We've got a history of winning. We've got a good training setup. We've got a great fan base, and our front office does a very good job, and we take care of our players the right way, and we've built that reputation. So,
are you tooting your own horn a little bit?
I am a little bit, but I said front office. I didn't say general manager. But yeah, no, it's players who are at the championship level. There are some clubs in League One that they wouldn't entertain an offer from, but we are not one of them. And I don't think, despite the gap in pay that there may be for some of these players, I think we're an attractive League One. We're an attractive pro option for them. And I don't know that you see the difference between the two leagues so much when having those conversations and negotiations.
Yeah, I mean that's something. As long as we've been running this pod, the continual question, and it always falls into the pro rel category, is what's the difference between the two? And ultimately, it's some people got in early and have been able to financially maintain. But like second and third tier US, at least in the USL, not to mention, or not bringing in NISA or MLS Next as the other third tier. But between USL 1 and Championship, for the most part, there's a lot of level playing field with a great majority of the teams.
Yeah, there is, and the biggest difference on the field is the amount of money that those players earn. Listen, Championship salaries are higher than what we offer, but there are a lot of really well-run League One front offices that spend the money they do have intelligently, and I think that we're one of them, and we'll see on the field this year if it's true or not. But if you're identifying the right players, you don't necessarily need to be outspending everybody else to put a team that could compete in the Open Cup, in League One, and against anybody.
No, definitely, and where Omaha, where you in the front office have built the kind of connections within the Omaha community. I know we talked about that last year, talked about it a bit in the off season with the Bellevue partnership, and the partnership with Green Slate and Blackstone, and just places where you don't get that in these other cities. You're not living in one of the hottest neighborhoods in the city. You're not getting the opportunity for well, I guess now it is across the USL, but it's not to the extent that Omaha has with the educational opportunity for some of these guys who went in there. Like you found very good ways to be competitive on the transfer market without having to necessarily overpay for the level you're at. Right. And that's been very impressive from the fan side, watching the leverage of the community relationships to make us more competitive on the transfer market.
Yeah, and listen, and the transfer market and the free agent market, and we have to do that. We have a finite player salary budget, so and it's not it's not nothing. Our ownership supports us very well, but there's no question if we're trying to convince a player who is at a championship quality or higher to play for us instead, we better be offering a lot more than just the salary that we're able to offer, because it's not going to compete, honestly.
And that's, yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the game. We're seeing as of today, USL Championship, I think it's safe to say legend Dane Kelly signing for Charlotte. And you've got that Argentinian over there in Richmond that
won't go away.
Just won't go away.
He will not go away.
Needs to retire.
A man I love to hate, but man, he will not go away.
He has just consistently been good across the league, and come on, just retire. Eat too many Ukrops cookies. Like, do something. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, that Dane Kelly signing, that's a good one. That's a good one for the league. It's exciting to have a player with that kind of pedigree in this league. I talked to Dane and his agent months ago, and Charlotte's an attractive market as well, and I think they're probably paying him a pretty good deal to get him here. But it's good for the league. It'll be fun to play against him. And listen, we brought in Steven Dos Santos from Championship as well.
Yes.
And he's no slouch. He's gonna be causing defenders a lot of issues in this league, and I think he would have at the Championship level this year as well.
Well, just looking at our forwards we have right now, confirmed forwards, between the guys who I kind of imagine playing more of that striker role, personally, with Noe, who last year, definitely needed that little bit of finishing. He needed a year pro, but looking at who's scoring in the preseason, he seems like he's already off on the right foot. That you've got Steven Dos Santos, who did great things, championship level, coming from the Rowdies, who fantastic franchise there, fantastic club. And then we've got Joe Gallardo, who I on paper, he hasn't done that much, but everything I've seen him do looks really, really good.
Well, I think it depends what paper you're looking at. He was first team all league in 2019. I mean, just because he's been in Mexico for the past couple seasons doesn't mean he fell off the face of the earth. He's a player in this league.
Yeah.
No, but when 2019, that's 4 years ago at this point. 5 years ago. I'm not sure math's hard. And I'm not going to ask Ryan. It is 4. You sure?
Yeah, because 19 and then 4 wouldn't be 24. It'd be 23.
21.
That's an easy one.
But the amount of playing time it looked like he was getting in Mexico, it was a little bit worrying. Harder to find information, especially Mexican second tier, whether or not they're injury plaguing or was just, had somebody significantly better above him. Like that, there's lots of things that can kind of play in there. And we've had luck bringing in players that, got sidelined on a team. Greg Hurst being, very mentionable on that. Sidelined at another team, stats didn't look fantastic, comes in and does amazing things for us. So I'm extremely excited to see what he can do. He's talking to him a little bit ago, or a couple weeks ago. He seemed like he's very excited to really get out there, get going. That was prior to any of the friendlies, and he's scored 1 goal so far, or 2?
Yeah, I believe it's 1 right now. But yeah, he's the type of player that when he gets the ball, especially if you allow him to turn or find the ball in space, able to run at the back line, you don't want to allow him to do that. He's going to be very dangerous. And, with the types of other attacking players that we have around him, it's going to create space for him. And if they want to shut down, Joe Gallardo, Luis Hill, you want to give him the space instead, or Joe Brito, you want to give him the space instead? I mean, I think we've got some creative weapons. You can't focus on all of them at once, and these guys are all the type who, if you give them some space, they'll hurt you.
And up front, it reminds me a lot of our championship season when, Evan came off of that first season. We get a guy like Greg that has some experience around him. Devin starts coming on in his own. We have enough guys that can get the ball in, and all of a sudden you can't focus on just one guy, because if you're focused on Greg, Evan's there to put the ball away, vice versa. Devin's taking shots from everywhere possible. And, that was the most attacking we've been in our 3 seasons, was having that type of a setup. And so Noe's kind of on that same path of needed that year of pro. He needs to get those minutes under him. And now it's already paying off in the preseason. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Evan, but he has that path in front of him that we know works.
Yeah, Noe works unbelievably hard. He did in the off season. We know that, and it was evident on day 1 of camp, a month ago, and has remained evident, for the entire preseason so far. I think with a player like Steven, who's just going to demand attention, he's poised for a good season if he remains healthy and remains confident. I'm very optimistic about what 2023 is going to look like for him.
So just to plug the people who actually listen to this, tune in to our blog on Monday. Rich has a great in-depth article interview with Noe that'll be coming out on the blog. So including some interviews with his former coaches. So if you want to find out what Noe's about, Rich, if you read the blog, we'll get to the bottom of it. So
subscribe to the blog. Then you don't have to worry about it being tweeted out. That'd be great.
Yeah, because we're not good at that. Sometimes we remember to put things out on social media, but social media is hard.
Well, I have one more roster question because it gets brought up on our on a Discord that Luke and I are both on quite a bit. We have the league's best goalkeeper, and he's back. But we know that Shido's had a couple times over the past couple of years where he maybe gets a red card, maybe gets a little hurt because he gets run into and doesn't get called against him. So are we working towards having a backup keeper so that Shido has some help?
Yeah, no question. There's that'll be wrapped up very soon. And yeah, what you want in a projected second string keeper, especially when you've got someone like Shido in that projected starting spot, is somebody that can truly threaten to take that time from him, somebody that can keep him sharp, and also somebody always who is going to be dedicated to what their role is, which is pushing Shido every day and making sure that they're both improving together. Because listen, there's no question Rashid's the best keeper in this league, and it's amazing that we have him back. But he's not a finished product yet. He can keep improving, and with Beto, our new goalkeeper coach, and the right team around him, I think I'm not breaking any big story here saying that Rashid is an unbelievable keeper who still hasn't even peaked. There's more to come for him.
I do have a backup keeper suggestion. Looking at transfer market seems pretty cheap. You both should like him as well. Martin Stecklenburg, he's been riding the bench for a couple seasons. He's 40 years old, so now he's past his prime. And per transfer market, it's only 100,000 euro. So,
oh yeah, nice. All right.
Yeah.
I'll make a call. Yeah.
We'll start the GoFundMe, Pete.
Yeah.
So, getting into a bit of the season, because we did throw this out for questions. We didn't lead them on by saying you'd be here, but there have been a couple questions of playing that first couple matches away from home, or home matches away from home. I'm going to ask the important one first that came on our Instagram, which, hey, we're on Instagram, people. Go find us. From Paula Small, will there be more than one beer cart at the UNO match?
Yeah, we've been having meetings over at UNO. They've been a great partner, and they want to make this as good of an event as it can be, which at Caniglia I think can be a really good event. That's an awesome stadium. So yeah, we've talked through our pain points from last year. We've talked through what we think it'll take to take these league games to the next level, because there is a difference between a league game and an Open Cup game and how the show that we have to put on. So yeah, I think they're going to be great. UNO has been really receptive and really willing to work with us. And yes, a area to improve that has been brought up with them has been beer options or lines for beer. So yeah.
Does Dom understand that playing at Caniglia requires him to get some level of a yellow card by screaming at a referee?
I don't know. I'm anxious to see that, honestly. His sideline demeanor, that's something I don't have experience with yet. Friendlies don't count. That's not sideline. So no, I'm interested to see him on the sideline.
It is also worth reminding him, regardless of the weather, he cannot wear a sweater there. No sweaters at Caniglia.
Yeah, don't do it. Brian also asked, just since we have this question, any pros and cons about starting away from Warner Park for our first couple home matches that you can see?
Yeah, the cons are obvious. It's not our home stadium.
Right.
There you go. That's the con. But there are plenty of pros too. I love being able to play 2 early season games in Exarban. Just maybe some fans who aren't coming out to Papillion will be willing to go to Caniglia, and I think they're going to see a pretty good product. And Papillion's not that far away from Exarban. I think we put on a good show in the first 2 games, and we can see that rise for the rest of the season. Also, Caniglia is just a great stadium. It's going to be a very cool atmosphere, especially if our Open Cup game against Northern Colorado last year is any indication of what the fans can bring. It can get loud. It can get exciting. I think there are obvious negatives, but it's also a big opportunity for the club to get in front of some different fans, show our fans a different atmosphere, and I'm actually looking forward to it.
All right, I have to ask, because this question's been all over Reddit and in talks of our stadium. How come we can't just move in there and make that our stadium instead of building a brand new one downtown?
We can't do it. There you go. Yeah.
I appreciate it as an official representative of the team. That works.
Yeah. Listen, anybody who thinks that we haven't explored those obvious options, we have.
That just seemed like it was too perfect of a time to ask the question that was not asked of us, but has been asked of any time money has been talked about for a new downtown stadium. But with the Caniglia games and then the Morrison game against, Dom's old team. Open Cup's not rigged or anything. Like, it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah,
but,
I couldn't believe that draw. It was the immediate text to him, and he was just laughing. Yeah.
You've got a lot of great, as we talked about, great community partners, and I know you've been building those community partners around. Are you looking at trying to? I know Parliament did last year with Orbit, was able to get free bus rides to the games. Is there any look at leveraging some of those Omaha-based community partnerships that might be beneficial when there is a stadium downtown as kind of a teaser?
Yeah. Well, so I'll say I've had meetings with Orbit and Metro Authority or Transit Authority, and yeah, that's a big part of the allure of a downtown stadium is public transportation access, which obviously we just don't have at Warner Park. Leveraging some of those for those games at Warner, or sorry, at Caniglia and Morrison. We've had those conversations. I believe Parliament has worked out something with a bar in Blackstone and Orbit again for the Caniglia games, which is awesome. We've had conversations with some partners of ours and potential partners of ours in Exarban about maybe post-match parties or something of that nature. But yeah, no, it's a different environment at either of those stadiums, because here at Warner, tailgating is how you do the pregame, right? And I think it's a really cool idea for what Parliament is doing. Set up shop at a bar around town, give a local business your support, and hopefully they'll support you back. And then ride the Orbit to the game, or be even closer and walk to the game, or ride a bike to the game. I just think it's a really cool opportunity for our fans. And yeah, we're having conversations with different companies and partners all the time, but probably nothing formal for those games.
I would also say for people that I live out west, you can park at Westroads for free. Even if you're paying for the round trip, it's $2.50 round trip to ride Orbit. For Caniglia, it literally drops you off right in front of campus, and you can just take a short 5-minute walk to Caniglia, and then it runs the other way. You just got to cross Dodge with the light and get on the back, and then you can drive your car home. That's how I spent my entire semester last semester going to class, was parking at Westroads and riding the bus to class. So, I mean, it's very convenient. And if you're a UNO student, even as a grad student, you can ride for free. If you have kids that are K through 12 that are going with you, they ride for free.
Well, and the plus side there is you don't have to fight for parking, which is one of those constant, oh, there's no parking in Omaha.
Especially in and around the stadium, like around Caniglia, around UNO. Yeah, that's definitely, it becomes more of an issue. But yeah, I mean, no, if you're down at Morrison, there's plenty of places to find parking and walk over to Morrison. That's not going to be an issue down there.
Yes. Well, now that we're on to Morrison, Open Cup, mention against El Paso. We started out against the Menace last year. Granted, it was a very strong Menace side, and a lot of their players somehow miraculously weren't playing for them during the summer. Don't know how that happens. And one of them seemed to have found their way onto our roster by the end of the season.
Bunch of mercenaries.
Yeah, don't know how that happens, but we're starting against the championship side this time. We didn't have that last year. We went MLS, League One, MLS. We've got a couple games prior to this one, which will make it a little bit better than last time. But do you think this squad is as capable as last year's at a possible run, or do you think that was kind of a Cinderella story, happens once and?
Yeah, no. So I mean, on paper, I think this squad is more capable than last year's squad of making a run. But it's a single elimination knockout tournament. It's you got to show up on the day. You've got to put away your chances and keep theirs out. It's I think we are absolutely capable of beating El Paso, but they're just as capable of beating us. Just like any other team in a knockout competition. It's one game. That said, we spoke earlier about our players with recent high-level championship experience on this roster. That's going to work in our favor in this matchup. Certainly not going to have any players on the field on Union Omaha who are intimidated by the opponent. And yeah, there's also, last year we caught some teams by surprise, I think, and just by virtue of that, we won't be catching anybody by surprise this year. So yeah, no, it's that's what's so fun about the Open Cup. It's one game of soccer. It's 90 minutes. It's 120 minutes. It's everyone's close enough that there can be an upset in any single game. So yeah, I think I'm really excited to be hosting a higher level team. Last year, despite playing 3 MLS clubs, we didn't get to host a single higher level club. And that's a shame because it would have been an amazing event. And I think, it feels so strange to have such a hugely important and historic game this early in the season. But we're hosting a championship club for the first time ever. We're playing a championship club in a competitive game for the first time ever. We're hosting a higher level club in a competitive game for the first time ever. It's it is a historic night in Omaha soccer. And I'm excited for it. I know the players will be up for it. And yeah, there is a little, it's wild to say this as a League One club, but you've got to think there is a bit of a target on our back in this tournament this season.
Yeah, I think too, one thing that can happen this season, it seems like with the way the roster is being built and just by sheer numbers, because we've always kind of hovered right around or under 20, and we're inching closer to being 22, 23, having more of a full roster that way. If we do somehow get to have another run like that, this squad seems to be built to be able to have some depth that if guys are playing midweek and we have a weekend game, we're not going to be running into as much of tired legs. Because I think that was some of the drops that we saw in the league where we had Open Cup games and those weekends for Open Cup, those first couple of rounds, it's like boom, boom. And then we have all of our league games in between there too. And it seemed like we lost some of our momentum there with the league early on. And if teams in League One jump out early, it's hard to catch up when they're on fire and they're playing well.
Yeah, that's something we were very conscientious of when building this roster. We have got competition at every single position on the field. In our first game and in every game we play this season, there are going to be players on our bench who are unquestionable starters at the League One level. They just, for whatever reason that week, the other guy's playing ahead of them. So yeah, we've built a squad where I think we'll be able to do some more rotation and try to keep people fresh, but also if and when injuries happen, that next man up is going to be a starter. It's not going to be a backup filling in or somebody we don't want on the field filling in. We've got just about two starters at every position here.
So, Patrick Walsh, who asks some amazing questions every single time. And as you're saying, we've got multiple starters about every position, which to me it just says we can be ultra agile in playing style. We're not locked into a specific one. But he's asking for an analysis of the preseason matches, and we've brushed on that a little bit without giving too much away, because hopefully other teams aren't there scouting our preseason matches.
But we know they listen to the pod because they use it as motivation.
I mean, so we're bulletin board material. We know that much.
Right.
But the style of play, without giving too much away, how will fans that have come or become used to J Mim's 4-4-2 style be familiar with this at all? Is it going to look entirely different? I mean, if you feel comfortable with it, what's been run so far?
It's going to look very different from what people are accustomed to out of our team. That said, and this was something that with any coach during the interview process who was became apparent that they were deserving of a really hard look. I laid it out early that there were some non-negotiables in the types of players and the types of people we signed because they had to represent the city of Omaha. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, the style is going to be different. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to provide some more entertainment, and I think our fans are really going to like it. But the non-negotiables of that hard work, that toughness, that pride that we've became known for under Jay in the previous 3 seasons, those haven't gone anywhere. And if anything, I think we'll step them up. All these players are so dedicated to winning this year and to winning every game that they play in. And we don't sign anybody based purely on video. We're calling them. We're getting character references. We're getting playing references. We've built what I think is going to be a really, really mentally tough, really strong, really proud group. And then the style that we play, I think, is going to be exciting, and it is going to be a departure, honestly, from what we've seen in previous years.
So, with that being very, very exciting, how are our returning players? I guess at this point, how are they adapting to it? Because with guys like Rashid and JP, they've been here since day one. How they not to say that they're not dynamic players, but coping with an entirely new style in their pro career after playing a very rigid style there. Are you seeing more creativity out of them? Are you seeing frustration? Like, again, to a point that you're willing to give up there?
Yeah, listen, I think we're seeing all of the above as is expected in preseason. But I mean, soccer players like having the ball. Right? Soccer players like being creative. Soccer players like doing that. That's the fun part of the game. The rest of it is work. The rest of it is suffering. So when we are basing our system and basing our game plan, typically at least, more around having the ball and opening up that creativity and having possession, but possession with a purpose. Yeah, of course, there's an adjustment between coaches, but I don't think anyone's complaining about trying to have the ball a little more and have a little more creative freedom, maybe.
With that, also, we've brought on our third ever Academy signing. Well, Academy signing, but not an Academy player this time around. Yoskar signed full pro last year, but didn't necessarily see that much of the pitch. How are these young guys fitting in? Neither of them are amateurs by any means, and with Holt, seems like we really went ringer on this. It wouldn't fit with the MLS homegrown rules.
Yeah. So Anderson. Well, first of all, Yoskar, our first ever Academy signing, and now a full pro with the team. This is the year that I think is going to be pretty defining in his young career. He's got that confidence. This is his third season with the team. He knows that he can bring something on the field that not everybody can bring, and that can change games. And he's been showing a lot of confidence in preseason so far. He's been impressing a lot of people, and he's still so young. He's still, he's still a kid. So this is I'm excited for the year that Yoskar is going to have. I think there's a lot of potential for this to be a really important one for him. Anderson Holt, this will be his first Academy contract in a professional club. He's with Queensboro in their Academy system, which is awesome, which is really high level play. They were in the Academy Cup final. Anderson is a unique profile of player that we are very fortunate to have signed to an Academy deal. He's big, he's athletic, he's intelligent and reads the game well as a center back. He's left-footed, and he's technical. I think with this full season, training with our guys, training under Dom, Ladule, Kevin, and Beto, and our coaching staff, I think it's a perfect situation for him to turn into the player that he wants to be and the pro that he wants to be. And I think he could contribute on the field. I think he's a serious player, especially at 18 years old. And if he keeps doing things the right way, with that unique profile that he has, he can have a really fun career.
So interestingly enough, he is the second Holt we've signed. We had Brian Holt as our third string keeper in the 2020 season, slash goalkeeper coach. But any relation?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. I mean, you weren't even aware that we had another Holt ever on our roster. So, but no, getting a. Oh, go ahead.
Is Anderson aware that he looks 12?
You know, that picture that got posted, he looks younger than he actually does out there. You see him on the field. He looks like a man out there.
Does he look like that 17-year-old that's signed with Bayern that looks 40 years old?
No, I wouldn't say that. He looks all of 18 years old.
Okay. Definitely an exciting prospect bringing on an 18-year-old, getting that academy contract. So he has still has the availability to play NCAA if he chooses to. But is that very opposite to the signing strategies we've kind of gone with so far? We've gone for a lot of veterans, a lot of guys who have really experienced at least 1 year pro, experienced higher levels. Talking to a few of the returning guys, saying that they didn't sound worried because they know their level, but they're like, yeah, bringing in a lot of veterans compared to where we were at last year. Some veterans were brought in, but there were still a lot of very, very fresh young faces. With that one academy, is that kind of putting it to we've got a scouting system in place that we're going to be keeping an eye on more of the USL academies, but also the stuff around Omaha, around the Upper Plains and more regional academy signings?
Yeah, I think that is. I think it's entirely possible. There was one player who is from Omaha, young player who we had to our invitational trial, and he did an awesome job. And I think there's potential for him in the future to sign an academy contract with us. Frankly, if his high school schedule could have worked out, he might have been training with us all year. Who knows? So yeah, no, there's talent in this metro, in the city, and in this region. And we're gonna make every effort to find it. But yeah, we did build this roster differently than we have in the past this year, and it was very intentional. You're gonna see soon. There's another rookie that's will be announced soon, who's the player out of college. But no, we made a decision on what we wanted our player profile and our roster profile to look like this year, and what we've built reflects that decision pretty well.
So does Ryan have to be worried that Union Omaha scouts are showing up to his team's practices? What are you coaching, Ryan? U8?
Took a season off. She's gonna do YMCA, so they got somebody else lined up, and that's okay because between school and my new job, I don't know that I have time to coach a bunch of 9-year-old girls.
Hey, there'll be when this women's team comes around that we haven't been shy about, they'll be the perfect age for some academy signings.
Well, and honestly, like I'm super excited about that when we get to that point, because I've been meaning to get her down to Kansas City, but it's enough of a drive and enough that you have to plan a whole weekend around it, that it can be impactful to take a 9-10-year-old down and have to spend a weekend down there to go see that, and to know that I can take her to the exact same stadium I'm going to be taking her for the men's games. And the women, we have a lot of good women's soccer in the region as well. both in high school girls and then also just, Creighton and UNO women are both really good. Bellevue. Yep.
Midland.
Yeah, Midland. I mean, so it's exciting to know that there's some of these girls that either my daughter is playing with that may play with in high school that she could see and go watch her friends play professionally, or girls she's watching now that are playing at Marion or, any of these other schools that she may be able to go watch when she's older because they're older and playing professionally. So it's cool. And just to know that girls in this area are going to have that opportunity to see women playing that high level professional soccer is going to be great.
Yeah, no, it's important to have that top of the pyramid visible in your area and to be able to go out and see it from a young age and be able to truly see the pathway to that. I didn't have that growing up. Coming up in Buffalo, the highest level there was college and NPSL in the summers, and there it was never clear how to get to the pros. Right now, for people in Nebraska, it is. There's a pathway for men in Nebraska, for boys in Nebraska, and I was thrilled when that World Herald article came out and Marty specifically said, women's soccer with this stadium, and that's great because we want to show that pathway, not just for the boys, but for everybody in the area.
Well, something that was also mentioned in World Herald article, the Examiner article, Marty has mentioned on interviews, the should the stadium go forward, the formation of a Union Omaha Academy. Mm-hmm. Now, that's one that's I'm very much excited for that prospect of having a set pathway to pro for Union Omaha men's and women's sides, but how is that going to integrate into the Metro's existing? Because that was one thing from the get-go. Didn't want to step on too many toes, but this seems to be, granted, it's we haven't brought it up much, but it's
step on Sporting's toes. Step on Sporting Casey's toes. I'm good with this. It's fine.
But I mean, it's making a point. You got Nebraska soccer, you got Gretna, you've got the Wolves, Sporting Nebraska. There are a lot of youth clubs and that take up a lot of field time all over the place. So is Union Omaha making a point here saying that they're here to stay? That everybody needs to start looking to Union Omaha as the next path to pro, the only real path to pro, or is it going to try and find its own little niche within the area?
There are a lot of paths to pro for the right players with the right mentality. But that said, if you're going to be at the top of the pyramid in a city, in a state, in a region, whatever it is, I think it's important for the growth of the game in this country to have a direct path to that top through that club. I mean, we see it work virtually everywhere else in the world. And what exactly that looks like, whether it's in coordination with other clubs in the region, whether it's in coordination with the state association, I can't say exactly what it's going to look like at this point, but it's part of our responsibility as the pro club here to have an academy and to provide the best players with the best training and the best opportunity to make their dreams come true.
Yeah, and it always has kind of struck me in a weird way, driving to Union Omaha games, seeing all of these kids there, but on the way there, the only thing I see on the interstate's a Sporting Nebraska billboard, or driving home from a watch party, and the only thing I'm seeing is a Sporting Kansas City One Sporting Way billboard. Knowing that this team is out there doing the legwork, getting out there, but having kid players associate with a club, even if they're not ones that are going pro, even if they're the ones there for the rec leagues within the academy, the identifying programs. You know, that they're never going to make it to a pro team, but they're out there with pride, wearing their various colored owl jerseys, and getting that level into the community. Seeing the parents who have their Omaha Academy merch, all of that just, instead of going out and I'm at a Union Omaha event, seeing Sporting Nebraska, seeing Union Omaha at all levels is just, I'm excited for that. Like,
yeah, listen, it's the soccer ecosystem in Nebraska is really, really strong. Some of these clubs are excellent, but as the professional club, we have a responsibility to show that pathway. So it's no slight to what's currently here, and I think it will, however it looks, it will be in collaboration and in coordination with what is currently here. But yeah, no, I'm with you. We need to provide the proper pathway and provide kids with the ability to look at the steps to where they want to become and follow
them. I think that's probably about perfectly says it, because it needs to happen. You're making the right steps towards it, and we just need that massive groundswell that Omaha has for this team that's been building to get behind it and get their kids behind it. So
yeah, and getting there right now, that's all coming. I'm sure that is coming. Mm-hmm. But we've also got a first team on the field this year, and it's a team that we have put together very intently, and it's a front office that has been working really hard this off season to improve our game experience, to improve what people see on the field and what they get to engage with in the stands. So step one is getting people out to games this year, supporting this first team, and then the rest will come.
So where can they get tickets? Where can they get the merch to wear around town?
Yeah, there it is. I see it, Ryan. Yeah, Union.
I'm covered up the Nike though.
Well, you know what? Hey, that's last year's gear. That's fine. But the new gear from Hummel is awesome, so check it out. But yeah, unionomaha.com for tickets. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're working on really amplifying our TikTok here, so check us out on TikTok. Though you're not gonna see many links to ticket sales or anything on that. More just goofy videos from the guys. But yeah, unionomaha.com to find tickets and merch.
And is unionomaha.com where to get tickets for Open Cup? With that being at Creighton, or are those tickets available yet?
We're sorting that out. They're not available yet, but we had a meeting with Creighton a couple days ago. We're getting it sorted.
All right.
Can I just throw something out there? It's a Parliament bone to pick with the front office.
Yeah.
Okay, so sweater weather as one of the games should have been NoCo, because that was the coach that wore the sweater when he shouldn't have wore a sweater at Caniglia. Just saying.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
That was the first thing that we picked up on.
I mean, but when do we even host them? It's
literally the next home game after the sweater weather. So
really?
April 15th is NCFC is sweater weather.
April
and then
29th.
Pups at the pitch. At 29th is Pups at the pitch with Hailstorm. It's okay because he wore the sweater at Caniglia, so it's still kind of there, right?
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity. I didn't see it. It didn't click for me. You're absolutely right, though.
That's all right. We don't need to openly troll other coaches at this point.
As you guys can do all you want, but maybe as an official club stance, I don't know.
All right. the rest of the questions I think are, since we didn't toss out that you were out there, unless you're a huge Pokemon fan.
Can't say I am. Sorry.
Then I will not ask which Pokemon best exemplifies each returning player. I will not ask you that one.
No, not going to be a good answer.
And I'm not going to toss you any of the ranking because, Ira Jersey.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This is a good one. What are you looking forward to doing most when you visit Central Jersey in a few years?
But you can't say winning.
Wait. Why am I visiting Central Jersey in the next few years?
Ira Jersey currently has a USL2 team that has the rights to a USL1 team.
Okay. All right. What am I looking forward to in Central Jersey?
Yeah.
Catching a train to New York.
I was going to say leaving with 3 points.
There you go. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we didn't say winning. We just said leaving with 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about going there. It's about the leaving.
Ira, friend of the pod, though. Friend of the pod, Ira.
Friend of the pod, early influencer in League One, and Bloomberg analyst. So it's always kind of funny seeing him actually give like things that are not soccer related on Bloomberg. Just it's good analysis, but it's very different analysis than what I grew accustomed to from him. Anything exciting coming up with the team that you'd like to plug here before we move on to some final questions?
Yeah, well, this one's season ticket members only. So I will encourage people to become season ticket members if you're on the fence, so you can attend things like this. But yeah, a week from today, next Thursday, our rescheduled season ticket 9th. So yeah, the reschedule of that previous season ticket member season preview that was iced out, I guess. So yeah, that's always a great event. Going to be introducing a lot of players for the first time. Going to be introducing Dom to the public for the first time in certain ways. Whole new coaching staff. So that's always a fun event. I'm really looking forward to that at Builder Trend. We've also it has not been announced yet, but will be shortly. But on March 21st at the Dundee Dell, Dom and I will be having, you can call it an open forum discussion with anybody who wants to attend. It'll be just an open Q&A over some beers or whiskey as the Dell is known for.
And a Reuben.
Sorry?
And a Reuben. You can eat a Reuben.
And I will absolutely eat a Reuben there. So yeah, we're doing that.
What?
They have really good fish and chips there. So I mean, it's still Lent. Perfect time to get your fish and chips.
There you go. Yeah, so that's going to be on the 21st, and that'll be an opportunity. The event next Thursday, the season ticket member party, is going to be like we did last year. There'll be a good Q&A with Dom and myself, but don't want to make that completely exclusive to members only. So yeah, we're going to be in Dundee doing something a little more low key but similar, in just a couple weeks later.
Well, two perfect opportunities. One, get your season tickets, and you can go hang out at Builder Trend. If I recall, that usually has some food and some beverages that are included with your. Yeah,
that's an open bar. That's beer and wine. I don't believe they have the hard stuff there, but I may be wrong about that. I just don't remember, but I think it's beer and wine.
I mean, usually it's not enough beer and wine that you don't remember. So.
And then we're having an amazing partner of ours, Virtuoso Pizza, is going to be catering that. So going to be some really good free food for everyone in attendance at that one too. So yeah, if you're not a season ticket member, if you're thinking about it, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff like this throughout this season and going forward. If you're on the fence, I think you might want to pull the trigger, because there's some pretty cool opportunities to really engage with the team in a different way.
And you know, being a season ticket member for a number of years now, I know that it's been pretty limited in past years, but all the events have definitely been worth it. You know, it's a great community to be a part of. So get there. And well, technically, I guess we're the first place you're announcing it, the Dundee Dell on March 21st. So more details from the team to follow. So
yeah, there'll be check it out on social. We'll be posting soon, but yeah, the 21st.
All right.
Cool.
Well, one last question for you, Peter. I'm not sure if you've been asked this one before, but I feel like you have. Who gives a hoot?
We
do.